Hi guys, welcome back to the ABCs of High School podcast. Today is going to be my first attempt at a solo episode, and like promised for my first episode, I will be telling the story of my own educational journey, pretty much from K through 12th grade, but focusing mainly on my 7th grade to present day, which is when I switched over from public school to homeschooling. And I know I have already told many of you my general story, but this is my chance to get into the nitty-gritties of everything. And I hope that I can open the eyes of many of you to what homeschooling is really like as a Chinese kid, and hopefully being able to debunk some of the misconceptions I have come across with people, mainly my extended Chinese relatives who probably won't listen to this podcast because they can't really understand English. But yeah, and I want to put out a disclaimer before I start that even though in this episode I am pretty much advocating for homeschooling here because I found so many benefits personally and pretty much no cons at all about homeschooling, but I just want to put out there that homeschooling is not for everyone. And in this podcast, I'm not trying to say that private schools, public schools, charter schools, lottery schools are bad. They are good. They are good ones. But those kinds of environments really fit a lot of people. It fit me for many years of my life. But homeschooling just also fits me better. And homeschooling really fits also some certain personalities, I would say also. Not everyone thrives in a public school and not everyone thrives homeschooled. I know many parents who have homeschooled one kid but don't homeschool the other, and I asked them why, because why would you just send one to public school and one homeschool? And they would say, my kid that is homeschooled, I just feel like they can thrive better in a homeschooling environment and that they're more mature and responsible, because there comes a certain level of maturity and responsibility with homeschooling, definitely. So some kids just are able to handle that and some kids just can't, and some kids really need a more structured environment for their daily school activities, but some don't. Some like the freedom, like me. And honestly, lots of people ask me, even though, why would I even choose homeschooling? Because I definitely have the luxury right now to be able to hop around many different schools. I have spent lots of money. I'm not me, but my dad has spent lots of money on helping me apply to tons of private schools. I mean, I was sent to private school for kindergarten. But why I eventually just didn't go there, I didn't even get accepted to a lot of them. But even though I had the luxury to apply to private schools and I had the luxury to move to another neighborhood just so I can go to a better public school, I just simply didn't really like it. And these are just my reasons why, but I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I don't want anyone to be offended by this. And public school is a good option for a lot of kids, and I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying my opinions about why I think homeschooling may be a good option for some of your kids, and that it's never too late to transition into homeschooling, honestly, because I have had over 9th, 10th, 11th grade and even 12th grade people just transition to homeschooling. It's honestly a pretty flexible system, and I feel like it's not bad to transition halfway through high school. I mean, I transitioned in middle school, but honestly high school is fine too. But yeah, so let's just get started into my homeschooling journey. So in my good old elementary years, let's start with that, I went to 4 different schools, 1 private school, 2 public schools, and 1 lottery school. I don't have much to say about those, but definitely each school impacted me in different ways. But since I was younger at that time, I didn't really care about academics so much, I guess. So let's continue on to middle school. At the start of 6th grade, I was just coming off a high, I guess you could say, from 5th grade, because when I was in 5th grade, I was quote unquote considered the popular kid, but I guess in like a good way. I mean, I had many friends of different ages, and I had a pretty good reputation among the teachers and students. So I was pretty much at my peak and my most confident in myself in 5th grade. And then 6th grade came and everything pretty much changed. Starting at a new school was not the problem since I switched to so many different schools in elementary, but I had different problems. I would say starting out in 6th grade, I was a very innocent, pure hearted kid who's genuinely kind, someone who did not have an iPhone, someone who did not really care about social media, any of this kind of things, which was unlike pretty much 95% of the kids I met at middle school who were kind of glued to their phones. So I definitely stood out from the start. The problems I had in 6th grade were a combination of friendship, bad friendship problems and teachers, and just having bad classes and not liking the curriculum at all. To touch briefly a bit about my bad friendships, I was faced with a lot of bullying in 6th grade, and that it really harmed my self-confidence in myself. So that was first not good. And I also, in my class, there were like 40 kids, and a lot of them were really unmotivated kids who didn't really care about learning, didn't care about doing well. And I also didn't get the one-on-one attention I wanted with my teachers, because obviously handling a 40 student classroom is pretty difficult, and each teacher usually have like hundreds of students and they barely will remember your name for the first like few months. And I understand, but I really wanted a school where I could have the one-on-one teacher attention I needed and just be able to get help whenever I needed, pretty much. And also what I found was that it was pretty obvious who the teachers' pets were, and it was kind of annoying when certain kids were treated better than others. And I also didn't like that I couldn't skip a grade in math, because even though I was pretty advanced compared to other kids, I was just stuck with normal 6th grade math, which was basically reviewing everything we learned in 5th grade. And I was really bored that year with math. I didn't really learn a lot. And so with the combination of these things, I really, really started disliking public school. I feel like I wasn't able to really grow and learn. I feel like learn a lot of interesting things that year, and just I didn't learn things that were at my level. I was ready to do more harder stuff, but I feel like we weren't learning things that were interesting and difficult or just challenging. And I felt like people around me were pretty discouraging and not motivated, and just not a positive, loving environment overall for me. And I'm not saying you can't find good friends in public school. You can. I found good friends, but they don't really stick for long, and it is difficult because it's hard for someone who's a Christian kid like me. It is pretty difficult. I mean, for one example, I remember clearly on Halloween, I didn't dress up to go to school when everyone else had, and because my mom was usually against celebrating Halloween, because just never participated in any Halloween activities all my life. So on Halloween day when I went to school, everyone was just kind of looking at me and teasing me, and just were asking me like, oh, did you dress up as Heidi today? And kind of like rolled their eyes. And these little things just kind of made me feel really uncomfortable, and just made me question why people just didn't like me for the way I was. So yeah, these little things just caused me to just kind of didn't really like public school. I really did not like 6th grade. There were good moments in 6th grade. I did fun things, but I just had a lot of trouble and conflicts. So I decided, I think maybe I want to homeschool. And you may ask, how did I suddenly think about, I want to homeschool? Well, the answer to that question is, my entire life I have had many friends and acquaintances who were homeschooled. And I always ask them how homeschooling works. Is it fun or not? Is it boring? Do they learn anything even? Do they just have free time all day long? I was always intrigued by homeschoolers, but I never really delved deeper since I never thought my dad would actually agree to homeschooling, since homeschooling, from what I've seen, is still pretty unconventional and taboo in Chinese culture. Like when people ask me which school I go to, I say homeschool, and then they look at me like I'm funny, and I don't know, they look at me funny and they're like, wait, you are homeschooled? Oh, okay. Like that, I get kind of mixed reactions. Some people say that's cool, but some people are just kind of like weirded out by a Chinese kid in the Bay Area homeschooling. And like, even though I have many opportunities out there at many different schools I went to, I've tried them all. I've toured many different private schools and just public schools in general, but I just did not really feel like I really felt comfortable. So anyway, so when we were deciding to homeschool, in order to convince my dad of being homeschooled, I had to prove many things to him. Like I would become a better person, I would become a better student, and I would still have the self-control to do a lot of studying by myself. And also that I didn't want to be independently homeschooled because my parents just couldn't teach me on their own, which is why I chose Live Oak, which is, for those who don't know, a physical school pretty much, where I go to my classes 2 days a week in middle school, but now in high school we go to school 3 days a week, and we have teachers, we have students, we have a principal, we have faculty, staff, classrooms. It's pretty much kind of like a normal school, but you just don't go every single day. And so we have to kind of pack in a lot of material on those days. We just waste no time at all, and that's what I like. I just feel like in public school we are wasting so many time because we had so many hours at school, and it was just a lot of times it was just doing these boring group activities that didn't really interest me at all, and it was just a lot of wasting time and a lot of like reviewing stuff that we already knew. And so, which is why I liked the fast-paced system. Like we really got we got down and dirty on the first week. We didn't just waste the first week kind of relaxing like in public school, like kind of ease us into school. Like no, when school started, we jumped right in and started learning, and I really liked that. So I am going to transition more into what has homeschooling taught me and how it has benefited me as a person. So first, independency. So obviously being homeschooled, you have to, like I said, you have to have a certain level of maturity and independency and self-control, because we go to school 2 or 3 times a week, and then the other days you're at home doing homework, self-studying, reading textbooks, whatever. You're just doing it by yourself. So definitely a lot of things like to do by yourself, taking tests at home, stuff like that. You need to really have self-control, but I think it's really benefited me because I find myself a pretty independent person. Usually as the older kid of the family, I think I'm pretty good at doing things by myself, and I didn't really need help from my parents. I did everything by myself, and I really liked that. And I really liked how homeschooling also taught me to take initiative, because as a homeschooler, there's a lot of things that you have to, if you homeschool also in high school, you have to know the requirements and tests and extracurriculars, stuff that you have to meet in order to get into college. Obviously, there's certain requirements, and most public school kids, I guess, don't really have to, I'm not sure, but like don't have to, make sure they meet a lot of the requirements because they have credited class to prove that they are a good student. But because my classes weren't credited, I had to make sure I could find ways to prove that, I am a high schooler. I've learned high school material, stuff like that. And I've really had to seek help. And it's really helped me just, learn how to seek help and just be independent and know what I'm getting into and just know, like, okay, I just need to do these things and I will basically get to college. So that's like the benefits. The second benefit is just, like I said, self-studying, which is really important for college also. Self-studying, now that I'm taking college class online, that self-studying is pretty important. You have to do everything by yourself. And that homeschooling has really taught me that, because I've been doing that since 7th grade, just self-studying. And yeah, I feel like that's super important. Some people may be shocked by that when they go to college, but now that, since I have already experienced that, I already know what I'm going to get into for college. And third, I really like how I can go at my own pace in homeschooling. So in public school, I felt like I wasn't able to skip ahead. I had to just stick to the classes that we were given. I couldn't really choose. And so when I got into homeschooling in 7th grade, I was actually behind a level in math, and I had to retake 6th grade math, which was kind of embarrassing for me, but it was actually very helpful, learning the stuff that I didn't learn in public school. And yeah, so it helped solidify my foundations in math. And then the next year I just studied, and so in 7th grade I studied ahead. So I studied my normal 6th grade math and then also my 7th grade math, so that I was able to go to 8th grade math the next year. I jumped ahead. I was able to take a placement test easily and just go to 8th grade math. And what I really liked about Live Oak is that we could take placement tests and be able to jump ahead more easily than you can in public school. So like in 9th grade, I was able to take 9th grade and 10th grade math together, because I just simply wanted to do more math. Also because I just needed to take more classes that year, because I wasn't taking enough so that classes to get a discount on the tuition. Yes, there is tuition for Live Oak. Anyways, so I took 9th and 10th grade math together, and then in 10th grade I was able to take 11th grade math. I was able to go ahead and have been taking more AP math classes. Like I took AP statistics in 10th grade and AP calc in 11th grade, which is, I think, a bit earlier than other people. And I found that it was pretty good for me, because I was generally ahead in math and I was able to take the classes I wanted. And because at Live Oak we have definitely smaller class size, which is another benefit. My class for math was like, 8 kids. I was able to easily get office hours with my math teacher, and I would always sit during lunch and just go over questions I needed, because taking 2 math classes was definitely difficult, but I was able to get high marks in that class, and it was thanks to being able to have office hours. And yeah, so I really like that I've been able to go at my own pace and at Live Oak. And fourth, the environment. The environment is super important to me, because I am someone who really cherishes and cares about quality relationships with people. And right when I came to Live Oak, I was able to meet great friends. Like, I didn't have to go up to them and introduce myself to them. They came up to me and were like, hey, hi. And then they introduced themselves to me and included me right away. Like, oh, do you want to sit with us during lunch? Like, in public school, I always had to be the one who would have to ask people, like, can I sit with you guys during lunch? But they came up to me and asked, and it felt so comforting that I had people who actually wanted to just sit with me during lunch. And I was able to become really close friends with these people, and they're still my close friends, and they have honestly been a really good impact on me, because my friends out there, thank you, you know who you are. They have encouraged me. First of all, in 9th grade, I was never considering taking an AP class, because I knew most people don't even take AP classes until 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And so I was like, no, I'm not taking AP classes in 9th grade. But they convinced me to take AP with government, which is really unique about Live Oak that they offer AP US Government in 9th grade, because in public schools they offer that in 12th grade only. And so yeah, so I was able to take that, and it was a really good learning experience for me to taking an AP in 9th grade, because it showed me like, oh, what APs are all about. And even though it was super difficult and I had a lot of struggles with it, but it was definitely good for me. And also another one of my friends convinced me to do this poetry out loud competition, which is where you do poetry recitations of 2 poems, and you compete at school level, and then if you like win top 3, move on to county level, and then if you win top 1, you move to state, and then you move to the entire country, the US. And so yeah, and I never thought of competing in that, because even though I wouldn't say my public speaking skills are bad, but I don't see myself as a poetry person. And I was like, I can't recite poetry. But my friend was like, Heidi, just do it, okay? And I did it, and I got 7th place that year, and I wasn't even expecting to place that year. But yeah, and then the next year I did it again, because it was actually really fun, and I got 3rd place, and I was so shocked. And each year I've improved. But yeah, I really thank my friends for just encouraging me to just step out of my comfort zone. And also quality teachers. I have met some of my favorite teachers at Live Oak. Honestly, they have really helped me, and are super flexible, and also just like they just get to know you really well, because we have small class sizes. In like 7th grade, my class was only 7 kids, so we had a really good relationship with the teachers, and was able to just have fun with them, and and get to know them really well. And so I really love my teachers, and also because obviously smaller class size, we have more office hours, and I can ask them more questions, and when I email them, they reply right away. So I was able to get a lot of help. And also our headmaster is amazing. He is a very wise person, and he, because it's a smaller school, he's able to, he always walks around the school and just talks to us students like we are friends, and it's really nice. I just really think he's a really good headmaster, because in public schools you barely see your principals. So headmaster is basically principal. You barely even see your principal, and when you see them, you just say hi, bye. But with him, like, I get to know him well, and he gets to know me, and we get to develop a really good relationship and just talk about random stuff. And it's really nice. And we can really see that he's really down to earth. Like, he is a human being. It feels like sometimes in public school, when I see those principals, I'm like, oh, they're all high up there. I can't really talk to them. They're too cool for us students. But no, like, our headmaster really cares about us and talks to us about our struggles, if we feel like our teachers are giving us too much work, stuff like that. And number 5, quality curriculum. So like I said, in public school, I really, really did not like the curriculum. It was like Common Core or whatever. Everyone hated it in public school. It was just really boring, like really, really boring. And so here at Live Oak, we are based on a classical education. So I've read so many classical books, and honestly, I don't like reading, but I feel like reading these classical books has really stretched my thinking and stretched my reading skills, because in public school, in class, we only read like 2 books a year, and they were both like super easy books, like not really challenging. But at Live Oak, we read like, 10 books a year, and we really dive deep into them, and a lot of them, which are classical books, have pretty hard vocabulary. So I tend to, I have to really think through them. And we've read a lot of like philosophy books too, like Plato's Republic, which I don't know if you even read in high school and public schools. But yeah, just books that I thought I would never read, but now I have. And they are super good. I guess they, even though I didn't really like them, but they really helped stretch my brain, I guess, to, learn more new vocab and be able to understand more deeper material. So number 6, the good thing, what I found beneficial about homeschooling is that I've been able to build back my self-confidence, which I've talked about, because I've made friends who've really encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone, who have really encouraged me and who accepts me for who I am. I've been able to really build back my scarred self-confidence. After 6th grade, I became really timid. I didn't really want to speak my mind anymore. I didn't really want to talk as much. Like at home, I was still the same, but with like making friends, I was more nervous because in 6th grade, I was generally, I guess, bullied for just talking too much, like simply talking too much, which I was like, why would people bully you for talking too much? So they found me when I asked those friends in 6th grade why they didn't like me, they were like, you talk too much and you are annoying because you talk too much. And I was like, come on, okay, that is a pretty lousy reason. And I didn't understand why they didn't like me talking that much. And because I found friends who really genuinely like listening to me talk, and when they ask me, how was your day? And then I start going on a rant, they really care about how I feel, how my day is. And I've been able to build back my self-confidence and be like, oh, people actually like you, Heidi. They actually care. And now I've, I guess, turned my talkativeness into doing this podcast because I really like talking. So yeah. Number 7, that now homeschooling, we have more flexible schedule that I can take community college classes. So starting from 11th grade, you can take community college classes for free. And taking community college classes are nice because, especially for homeschoolers, it shows on your application that, wow, you can handle hard classes, that, you've done hard classes, and they're just they're looked upon pretty highly on your application. So it's nice being able to kind of explore what you want, what major you like. Right now in the summertime, I'm taking a business class because I want to major in business, hopefully. And right now I'm just saying, can I handle studying even one summer of business and see if I can handle possibly doing 4 years of business. So yeah. Number 8 is taking more AP classes. So at Live Oak, AP classes are the only credited classes, and at colleges, they'll be like, okay, yes, that person took an AP. And so even though our school is pretty small, we still have a lot of AP classes. And like I said, in 9th grade, I got to take AP Gov, which most people don't take until 12th grade. And in 10th grade, I took AP Chinese outside of school because at our school, it's a classical school, so we only have Latin and AP Latin. But I didn't really like Latin that much, so I didn't really take it. I only took 1 year of Latin. And so I took AP Chinese outside of school, and then AP Statistics. And then 11th grade, I took AP Language Arts and AP Calculus. And there are also lots of other AP Science classes and AP History classes, which I'm not really interested in, but you have a lot of options of what you want to take. So I really like that. And those are some of the main benefits and what homeschooling has taught me. There probably are more, but those are the ones I can think of right now at the moment. And I want to continue on by saying, I guess, debunking some myths or misconceptions about homeschooling that I've heard from my relatives or just from people who are just ignorant about homeschooling, I guess. Because first of all, the misconception is you do nothing all day long. You just do nothing, you don't learn, and that is totally false. Even though, yes, there may be people like that out there, but that's a really small percentage. Most homeschoolers really, at least in the Bay Area, really care about education. And so a lot of homeschoolers that don't do Live Oak or are not part of a homeschooling organization, they just either have parents teach them or they go to classes outside, because there are tons of classes you can take outside for homeschoolers. And yeah, homeschoolers, we learn, we do stuff. Our days are packed with also studying and stuff like that. So it's not like we don't learn anything. There's lots of options, online classes, community college classes. There's lots of options, and most of us, I know, homeschoolers, I know, do take a lot of classes outside, a large variety of classes, and yeah. Second, which I've heard from certain relatives, that homeschoolers can't make it in life. They can't earn money. They can't survive in the real world. They won't be able to go to college. And I get super mad when I hear those kind of things, because I'm just like, that is totally not true. If anything, homeschooling really makes you, I guess, stand out, especially in college applications, because a lot of people don't do it. And you're compared, when college admissions look at you, you're put into a smaller pool of people, and they just kind of compare homeschoolers with homeschoolers, not really with the public schools, because homeschooling and public school is different. So homeschooling gives you have different stuff requirements you have to meet, obviously, and a lot of standardized testing you have to take. So it's not like you can't go to college. It's not like you can't make it in life. Because even though like a lot of people compare how like people from Live Oak who graduate go to a lot of small liberal arts colleges, not a lot of famous big Ivy Leagues, and I'm just like, that doesn't mean that they can't make it in life. It's just that our school, I guess, people have different priorities in life, and they might just not want to pursue a super competitive school. They might just want a liberal arts education, or they just might want a small private school education that maybe no one's ever heard about. But no, it's perfect. It's a perfect fit for them. And who is to judge, like, just because it's a small school, that we can't make it in the world? Like, yes, we can make it in the world. We can survive. Many of our teachers at my school are homeschooled, and they have accomplished a lot in their life, but they ended up deciding to be a teacher at a small homeschooling organization because simply they love our school. They've put their kids through Live Oak, and they just want to teach at it. Doesn't mean that they're not qualified, really good teachers. That's another misconception. And another misconception is that we are antisocial, which is so not true also too. A lot of us homeschoolers, obviously, are part of homeschooling organizations, and we have activities too. I don't do a lot of them, but there are different activities that we get to do too. And that, even though our school, yes, doesn't have clubs or anything, but we all do a lot of things like outside of school. Like our school is full of competitive debaters and speech people, because they always have to travel across the US to go to some tournament, whatever. So homeschooling is more flexible for them, because then they don't have to go to school every day, so they won't miss as much material. So people at our school are actually really involved with like competitive sports and stuff like that, because they have more freedom with homeschooling. They don't obviously have to be at school 5 days a week. That's another benefit of homeschooling. And so those are some of the myths, like misconceptions that I've kind of come across that are pretty common. And to kind of conclude my episode, I just want to say that I can confidently say that homeschooling is the best decision I have made in my entire life so far, which is probably an understatement too, because like that is how much homeschooling has changed me as a person, because I've really found who I am as a person, and I'm definitely more self-aware now, as you can probably heard from my college counselor. She's like, you really know yourself. Like, I really know like who I am, what I like, what I dislike, what I want for myself, which is really helpful. Obviously, not everyone is like an early bloomer like me. Some people are late bloomers, which is fine, but I've been able to explore a lot of my interests during homeschooling and have more flexibility to do other activities on other days, like weekdays, which most public school people can't do because they have to go to school. But like, for example, in 7th and 8th grade, every Friday I went and volunteered at this daycare because I really like kids, and I volunteered every week, and it was really fun. And I really now I know that, well, I've always known that I've had a passion for kids, and volunteering and just doing lots of activities have made me realize even more that I kind of maybe want to major or minor in like education. So homeschooling has really helped me with finding who I am as a person, and build back a lot of my self-confidence, and help me surround by people who I love and who love me. And now I feel like I never have worries like, oh, do these friends secretly dislike me or secretly hate me or talking behind my back, because I've never really seen that happen, and they don't do that. And yeah, I don't have as much like friendship problems. I don't have to spend my time thinking about all the drama that happens in public school, and I can focus more on my academics and building solid relationships. And yeah, so that is pretty much all for this episode. I really hope that this has been helpful, that even though it's just a lot of me talking about why I like homeschooling so much, but I really hope that it's been helpful, like, because as someone who made a decision in middle school to change from public school to homeschooling, it's pretty rare, I guess. So yeah, that anyone can homeschool, but it's definitely not for everyone. But it was definitely the right decision for me, because I felt so much happier going to school on those days of the week. And they really, like, even though we don't get to see our friends every single day, that I really cherish the days when I'm at school. Like, I'm really in the moment, I'm really present, and I like really care, because I know that I don't see them every day. But like in public school, we see each other every day. We don't really necessarily really I guess are present when we are at school. We're not really focused and care about learning. And yeah, so yeah, those are my thoughts on my own educational journey. And yeah, I will talk to you guys next week.